Jeremy Chinn is no doubt one of the brightest young stars on the Carolina Panthers defense, but one of the most divisive questions that has plagued the fandom since he's been drafted is just which position should he be playing when he's out there on the field. Since 2020, he's played positions that range from hybrid safety to outside linebacker, and he has been absolutely dynamic no matter where he's been placed. Well, in the 2023 season, he has been paired with Ejiro Evero, one of the young dynamic defensive coordinators in the NFL, and many have started to wonder, will this be the season that Chinn actually breaks through and becomes a Pro Bowler? And if so, what position will that be at? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you all my thoughts on that potentially happening. Will Ejiro Evero have that immense impact on Jeremy Chinn? And we're also going to hear from a Carolina Panthers legend on what he feels about Jeremy Chinn as well as his potential. And we're going to get into that right after this. From the foe, you dig? Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 2K, trying to get my channel popping before these games start next season. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to this story. Now, if you are not aware of who this story is about, then you clearly aren't a true Carolina Panthers fan. But if you aren't, welcome to the channel anyway. We are talking about our young, dynamic, playmaking DB slash linebacker slash all-world everything, Jeremy Chinn. He is going to be entering a contract year in his 4th season in the NFL this year, and many have started to wonder just how good he will be paired up with Ejiro Evero, as well as what position will he be playing. Well, Thomas Davis, somebody that many in Panthers fandom and across the NFL have compared Jeremy Chinn to, decided to weigh in on what he thinks about Jeremy Chinn, his potential, as well as what position he should be playing at the 2022 NFL Pro Bowl. So we're gonna hear from Thomas Davis. I'm gonna come back and react, and then we're gonna talk more about Jeremy Chinn. But first, let's go ahead and hear from Thomas Davis.
I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna go off on a limb here, and I'm gonna say, when it comes to that team, Jeremy Chinn reminds me of you. I say that because you came in as a safety and switched to a dynamic linebacker.
Jeremy Chinn is absolutely a dynamic player. He's a guy that probably should be in the Pro Bowl. At some point, he will make it here. They've kind of bounced him around a little bit. I feel like locking him in at one position this year may have hurt him more than it helped, but he's a kid that's dynamic. And when you're dynamic, you can do a lot of things, and they just got to figure out different ways to utilize him.
So there you hear it, or there you heard it. That is Thomas Davis, Panthers legend, former Pro Bowler, All-Pro, all everything to us here in the Carolinas. Those were his thoughts on Jeremy Chinn, and I 1000% agree. Jeremy Chinn's versatility is what makes him such a weapon, and boxing him in will probably be the wrong thing to do. But my biggest takeaway from that, and the thing that I agree with the most, is that he will one day, and I believe sooner than later, be a Pro Bowler, and I think that can happen this year with Ejiro Evero. And here's why. If you are not aware, during Jeremy Chinn's rookie year, he played exclusively at outside linebacker, right side linebacker, however you want to categorize it. And he, in fact, came in second in defensive rookie of the year voting, only behind Chase Young, who to this day, I believe, only won because of his name and where he was drafted, and because not that many people, including the voters, probably even knew who Jeremy Chinn was. He was the best rookie defensive player that year. But just how dynamic was Jeremy Chinn's rookie year as a linebacker? Well, he had 117 tackles, 8 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 5 pass deflections, 1 interception, and 2 touchdowns. He was all over the field making plays, whether it be at the line of scrimmage, in coverage, in the backfield, wherever he was asked to make plays, he was absolutely dynamic. Now, Jeremy Chinn joins a very, and I mean very, short list of Carolina Panthers who had over 100 tackles in their rookie season, as he is only the third. This is only the third time in the history of the Carolina Panthers franchise that a rookie player has been able to get 100 or more sacks. It was done in 2007 by John Beeson, and then it was done in 2012 by future Hall of Famer Luke Kuechly. Now, if he is going to follow in the steps of either of those two players, then that just shows that he should be a linebacker exclusively and nothing else if he is able to put up these type of numbers at the linebacker position. Another important thing that I need to bring up is during his rookie year, when he was able to amass all of these stats, he blitzed the quarterback 65 times. Now, as we move forward in talking about how his second and third year went, please observe how those attempts at blitzes and just being at the line of scrimmage steadily went down, which I believe was a stupid decision. So in 2021, he followed that up with indeed another 100 tackle, over 100 tackle season with 5 QB hits, six tackles for loss, 1 sack, 5 pass deflections, 1 INT, and 46 blitzes. Many would look at these numbers and say that Jeremy Chinn kept up the pace that he was at during his rookie year. But if you were looking at the games, you would see that that in fact is not the case. Now, why is that not the case? Because with the dwindling number of blitzes, meaning that Jeremy Chinn was further and further away from the line of scrimmage, as the defensive coordinator at the time elected to play him or change him over to a safety role starting in his second season, he was not able to be around the ball as much, and he was forced to play coverage way more than he had been in his rookie season. That is where many in Carolina Panthers fandom started to have negative things to say about Jeremy Chinn, was his ability to cover. That is not necessarily his fault when he showed the world just how dynamic he was around the line of scrimmage and actually getting in the backfield. And then the team turns around, or the defensive coordinator turns around and decides to play him in a position that is away from the line of scrimmage. That only works to the detriment of Jeremy Chinn and ultimately the detriment of the team. Now, in this most recent year, in 2022, Jeremy Chinn only played in 11 games, so his stats were 70 tackles, 1 QB hit, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 6 pass deflections, 0 INTs. But what is most damning about the stupidity that I saw put on display this past season in terms of how Jeremy Chinn was used is he only blitzed. He was only sent to attack the quarterback 13 times. It is not all about getting sacks. It is about forcing pressures. It is about creating incompletions. And Jeremy Chinn showed that he is able to do that when given the opportunity. But for some strange ass reason, the Carolina Panthers decided that we no longer want him to do that. We want him to play in the backfield, and we want him to almost exclusively be in coverage. That is absolutely a dumb decision. Now, as I mentioned, these are only stats through 11 games, so his averages would suggest that if he was able to put together a full 17-game season, this would have in fact been his third 100 tackle season in a row, which I don't know how much of how many other Panthers have done that to start a career, but I would assume that it's not very many, man. So you could see that although he had a dynamic year and where I believe he plays where he plays his best ball at the linebacker position, when he was switched over to safety, he was still effective. He was still well above an average player. He was just put in positions or schemed into positions that did not suit his skill set the best. And I do not personally put that on Jeremy Chinn, and I don't think that with Ejiro Evero that is going to be a problem, as I seen just how bad of a man he was with a terrible Denver Broncos team last year. So now let's move forward and talk about Ejiro Evero. If you do not know, he was the defensive coordinator of the completely destitute Denver Broncos last year, but it was not that was not the fault of the defense. They had an absolutely putrid offense that could not put up points, that could not stay on the field, that could not do any of those things, that forced the defense to be out there and lose the time of possession just about every single game. But he was still able to put up these, what I feel are great stats under those circumstances. The Denver Broncos only allowed they were eighth in total points allowed. So total points allowed, like eighth is a good thing. That means like eighth from the bottom, eighth least, as well as 12th in total passing yards allowed and 10th in total rushing yards allowed. So he was top 12 in all of these statistical categories, as the Denver Broncos were absolutely terrible as a team altogether. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The only notable names that he had on the defensive side of the ball that I feel are worth mentioning are Pat Surtain and Bradley Chubb. The Carolina Panthers defense, in terms of personnel on paper and output, if you want to look into the numbers, is just hands down better than what he had in Denver. Brian Burns is just far and away better than Bradley Chubb, and you all can argue all you want about Surtain versus Horn. Give me a healthy Horn any day, although I know that is not always the case. I believe that our guys are better, and Ejiro Evero will be able to coach these guys up just as good. But let's dive into Ejiro Evero's stats last year a little bit deeper as it relates to Jeremy Chinn. Now, the Denver Broncos had 13 different players have at least one sack last year. 10 players had multiple sacks. Now, six of those 13 players that had sacks for the Denver Broncos were listed as outside linebackers on their depth chart, because that is how Ejiro Evero likes to attack the quarterback in this 3-4 system. I myself, many in Panthers fandom believe that is where Jeremy Chinn will spend majority of his time. He has already mentioned that he plans, or he believes that he will be playing the linebacker position. There has been footage and pictures coming out of him practicing with the outside linebacker. So this is where Jeremy Chinn this is where I believe Jeremy Chinn will get the most of his snaps, man. But diving a little bit deeper into the Denver Broncos stats of last year with this 3-4 system under Ejiro Evero, two of the top four tacklers on the team were safeties, and Justin Simmons, and the other guy's name, it escapes me, but they were two of the top four tacklers on the team. And if that is a position that Ejiro Evero elects to also place Jeremy Chinn in, he can be just as effective, and he can be versatile and a Swiss Army knife, similar to how Thomas Davis mentioned how he should be used when we heard him speak earlier. So when I look at Ejiro Evero's overall defensive output, as well as how these numbers broke down, it seems as though his scheme, this 3-4, and the way that he runs it is completely tailor-made for the skill sets of Jeremy Chinn. And I believe that when they come together, they will in fact be dynamic. So what does that mean? That means that, yes, I in fact do believe that the combination of Ejiro Evero and Jeremy Chinn makes Jeremy Chinn a Pro Bowler, a star, and fighting to be the best player on the defensive side of the ball. If he is able to reach his potential, he would be all over the field, making plays in every aspect of the defense, and that is just something that would make this young defense even better. And that just makes me believe even more so that we will be a playoff team with a dynamic defense to support Bryce Young. Yada, yada, yada. You get the idea, man. But those are my thoughts on the potential of Jeremy Chinn being a Pro Bowler in 2023 because of our addition of Ejiro Evero at the defensive coordinator spot and his potential impact as being a force multiplier at that spot, man. So you all give me your thoughts on what you think. Leave your comments down below, man. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So you already know I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.